you for watching a new season of the Courtney Hall Show. Now, to the right of me, I have somebody that's very special. It's Mr. Derrick Reed. How are you doing?
Doing well, doing well. How about yourself?
Doing good. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So you're doing something that's amazing. You're running for Congress for Texas. Talk about that.
Small time. Small time. No, I recently, back in July, announced my candidacy for U.S. Congress, Congressional District 22, which is essentially Pearland, where I live, Sugar Land, Missouri City, Arcola, Manville, Stafford, Friendswood, some of Alvin. I mean, it goes on east as far as Webster, a little bit of Webster, and then as far west as some of Katy.
Nice.
And so, so there's a lot of suburb cities that are included in that district, in this district.
Nice. Let's talk about what you're doing now. So, Pearland City Council, you're actually on that, and you're a small business owner as well. So, talk about that a little bit more.
Yes. So I got elected to Pearland City Council in 2015. I got reelected last year in 2018, and so I've been on council. This is my 5th year. I'm inside of my 5th year. I had to resign, however, because I announced my run for Congress. And so Texas has a rule, a resign to run rule. If you have more than a year left in your term, which is my 2nd term, then you have to resign. And so right now there's a race being held for my seat, and that election is November 5th, I believe. As far as my business is here in Pearland.
We're here now.
Law firm, yes. Thank you. It's Stevens, Reed & Armstrong. We do all civil law. We have about 6 attorneys, and we've been going strong for the last 4 years. So right around the time, or a little bit after I got elected. And so, and then also I'm a fee attorney for a title company.
Nice. So let's talk about you a little bit more. You went to UT Austin.
Yes, I did.
Yes, and then you also went to TSU as well.
Yes, I did.
Yeah,
yes, I did.
So how did you get there? You actually won a Houston Livestock and Rodeo Scholarship, which helped you go to UT, right?
Yes. So a lot of times people think, oh, you know, Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, that you have to, like, you know, raise an animal or something, you know, something associated with animals, and they actually give academic scholarships as well. When I was applying, that was 1995, finished high school in 96, and so I think I applied around 95. But anyways, you know, there wasn't a lot of people that were actually, a lot of students that were actually applying for those scholarships. And so, and back then it was a $10,000 scholarship for 4 years. Anyways, that was how I decided that, you know, I was going to go to UT. I had gotten in and then gotten a few other scholarships. And then I went to TSU, Thurgood Marshall School of Law for law school.
Nice. Now, speaking of colleges, California actually just announced that they're going to be paying their athletes. Do you think that Texas will follow that trend?
Whew, that's going to be tough. That's a tough one. I mean, you know, I think that the athletes, this goes for any school, you know, they bring money to the school, right? And so there's got to be something that is done, you know, for them. Obviously, they're going to school for free, and I understand that. But, I mean, outside of that, you know, they have to be able to live and function and do the things that other college students that can work can do. And so I don't know if Texas will follow anytime soon. It may take a little while. California has led in a lot of things that Texas probably won't get right behind. It'll take a while.
Now, you were the first African American elected to city council. How did that go? Talk about that experience.
I mean, it was amazing. You know, it was 2015, and that's kind of late for a city this size. Specifically with this demographic, you know, we have a good African American population here. We have a diverse population overall in Pearland, and so, but it's felt good to actually see things that I've done make a difference, not just for African Americans, but just for the diversity, you know, in this city. And so, you know, I'm definitely proud of the accomplishment, but even prouder to be just elected to council.
Nice. Now, in one of your videos on social media, you said that greatness, your greatest obstacles became your greatest strengths. Now, what were some of those obstacles?
Just the way that I grew up.
Okay.
The way that I grew up, the things that I've had to go through growing up. Starting to work at 13, selling newspapers, helping my mom pay bills. In my video I also talk about my mom's drug habit.
Right.
Just the different things that I've gone through in life to get to where I am right now. And so, even before college, and some through college. And so, in general, I think we all learn from the things that helped to put us where we are today.
That's awesome.
But those obstacles, those are the obstacles that I was talking about.
Oh, that's good. That's good. You have two beautiful children. So what's one of the things that you've learned being a single father?
I mean, I still can't compare myself to a single mom. We do 50-50 with our children as far as time is concerned, but it's not easy. I've learned that it's definitely a hard job. I have a lot of respect, I have more respect for single moms out there. I was raised by a single mom, but actually doing the job, having to cook, having to help with homework, having to have fun with them. The biggest thing though that I've learned is to be present, and not just be physically present, but mentally present. They need that presence, and I'm glad I'm able to give it to them. The things that I didn't have from a dad, and so.
That's so awesome. He's so awesome.
Appreciate it.
So why do you want to be in Congress?
I ask myself that every day.
Yeah?
No. I mean, I in general have a passion for service, but there's things out there right now that I feel like aren't being addressed, specifically with healthcare. We've been going back and forth with healthcare for the past, since President Obama first ran for office. And we haven't had any concrete decisions made on it. There's a lot of things in our country and even in my life that I've seen affected by some of the issues that we have at our higher levels of government. We have people that are elected that don't listen to what their constituents are asking them. Specifically, this is just an example, but our current congressman for Congressional District 22 just voted against a flood insurance program that essentially would have helped out some of the folks in our district. We obviously flood a lot in the Houston area, and so to me that's someone that's not paying attention and that's not listening to what the people that put him there asked him to do. And so that's really why I want to continue on with my service. I've been serving since I was a DA essentially. On to city council, and then now on to Congress.
Nice. So what is your number one thing, or what's some of the things that you want to do if elected? If and when elected.
I was going to say when elected.
Right.
When elected, the first thing, and I make sure that people know this, the first thing that I'm going to do is what the people ask me to do, right? And when I say that, I've actually been going around and asking local businesses and just talking to people, asking them what it is that they want to see out of their congressman. What is it that you want out of the person that you elect to sit in that seat? Right now, I consistently hear healthcare. I consistently hear that that's the main thing, even from the business owners, from folks, just regular individuals. They want an affordable healthcare plan. Right. So that's the number one thing. Right behind that is immigration reform. And then criminal justice reform as well. And so those are my top three issues. But there's a lot of things. Infrastructure is a huge issue in Texas, in general though, in the Houston area. And so in these suburbs, out in Sugar Land, they suffered a lot of flooding because of infrastructure issues and things that had not been addressed by by the current administration.
Right.
And so those are some of the things that that I plan on going to DC with, but the most important thing right now is healthcare.
So what are some of the plans for our dreamers here in Houston, in Texas in general?
And so that's a great question. Specifically, we have obviously a large Hispanic population. Right. I want to say Houston is either number one or number two as far as leading in the most Hispanic population per capita. And so that's the number one thing with Dreamers is just to make sure that they have a pathway to citizenship, and that all immigrants that come into this country have a succinct pathway to citizenship. Right now, it's about, hey, let's build a wall and let's stop people from coming in. that's the way that we were founded and built upon as a country, by people coming in, and developed as a country by people coming in. And so we can't change that now. This has historically been, the land where people come and can find, a better way of life and can get away from the things that may torment their countries. And so I don't know why we today have an administration that is so hell-bent against making that happen, but even more so hell-bent against having people have a way to come into this country and actually gain citizenship.
Yeah. So another question for you: when you're elected, how would you address the Me Too movement?
That's another good question. I mean, attacking it head on.
Okay.
Right now there's still a lot of inequities, between men and women in the workplace. So I didn't mention this, but one of the areas of practice, my specialty actually, is employment law. And, I consistently see, women come in that, either not paid the same or not treated the same when they're at the workplace. They're telling me about, how their boss or their supervisor may have, inappropriately, said some things to them that they've been brushing off, and they have been brushing off for years. And so I've dealt with these situations head on, and I will continue to do that, as the next congressman for this district.
Nice.
And so, actually having experience, working with people that, or working with women that are not treated the same in the workplace, I think that's going to help, as I'm serving this district and serving the citizens of this district.
Right. So on social media, again, you said that you were on both sides of criminal law. Talk about that a little bit more, and how is that going to help you when you join Congress?
So I used to be a prosecutor for Harris County for 4 years, and it was exactly 4 years. But I tried everything from DWIs all the way to capital murder. And before that, obviously, as a child, not obviously, but as a child, or as a teenager, I had my own run-in with the law, and I was arrested at the age of 15 for burglary of a coin-operated machine. It was something stupid, but ultimately, I know, how it felt to sit, in the holding tank, and the things that are done to teenagers when you're arrested as a teenager. But then also, to issue, jail time to someone. And so I know definitely both sides, but not even just having been arrested, but both sides from the aspect of, as a prosecutor, you see people come in, you deal with hundreds and thousands of cases, and people immediately think, oh, you're just putting people away, but, you're dismissing a lot of cases as well. And you're seeing, and you're able to identify, hey, this isn't something that this person should have been arrested for, or, this small amount isn't something that hurt somebody else, right? A drug case, for instance, that's something that's going to harm that person. They're not harming anyone else. And so, having that real life experience and having, been, in a situation myself, it helped me to be a better prosecutor and to be, better about, looking at the criminal justice system. To answer your question, I know that was a roundabout way.
No, that was good.
Well, basically saying, knowing both sides of that helps me to understand what needs to be changed in the criminal justice system. Seeing the discrepancies that we have right now between how certain crimes are punished, specifically like a pill case as opposed to a cocaine case or a crack case, right? Crack case is a felony. A pill case is a Class A misdemeanor. There's different ethnicities that typically are using certain types of drugs, and are seeing lesser crimes. And then there's another ethnicity that's maybe using, a different cocaine, for instance, or crack. It's typically, African Americans that are in that, or doing that type of drug. That's the type of drug that my mom would get locked up for as well. But they're having to do felony time, and so both are harmless to other people. And both are actually a healthcare issue, they're not a crime, at least in my mind. And so those are the things that, having my background, and having my experience will help me, again, to develop and come up with, good criminal justice reform plans and laws.
Nice, nice. Now, what do you think about Trump?
I mean, there's a lot of words, joke. I mean, I can't believe that we actually elected someone to serve in this capacity. A lot of times I've told people, you never go to a beautician that, has never done hair before and hadn't had any training. I would never go to, a dentist that had never pulled a tooth before or never examined. And so to think that someone who has never really served people in any capacity whatsoever would be a good servant leader to this country is ridiculous. And that's what I think of him. I mean, I think it's a joke. I think it's a mockery of our country. I think he's a mockery of our country, and just the intelligence that we as servant leaders display, in our leadership. Specifically, I'm pointing to myself because I'm currently serving. It's embarrassing. I mean, he's embarrassing.
Now, what would you say to your younger self if you had to say anything? What would you say to him?
To my younger self?
Yes.
Don't drink that night that you.
You're silly.
No. There's a lot of things that I would say to my younger self. My younger self, the college student, I would have said, hey, be more focused. My younger self, the law student, I would have said, hey, don't concentrate so much on going to a big firm. Just let God do what He has planned for you. There's so much that I would have said, but then there's so much that I'm thankful for, for my younger self and the things that my younger self did, and the things that that I've gone through, and just experienced, and you learn from your mistakes, and I think that's one of the biggest things that I've built upon, and what makes me the person that I am today.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Now, how can we support you? How can we help your campaign?
Thank you. You can go to DerrickReed.com. That's www.DerrickReed.com. You can donate there. You can sign up to volunteer there. Definitely need all the help possible to ensure that I do win. I know that I'm going to win, and I would love any help and support that you all can provide.
Yes. I love that. So confident. I love it.
Thank you.
And where can we follow you as well?
Oh, I'm sorry. You can also follow me on Instagram at Reed for Congress. That's REEDFOR Congress. And then on Facebook at Derrick Reed for Congress. And so you can definitely follow me at any of those places. Twitter, the same, is Reed for Congress.
Well, thank you so much for coming on the Courtney Hall Show.
Thank you
So much. And thank you all for watching a new season of the Courtney Hall Show.